For those who, for one reason or another, consider consoles to be an inconvenience, PCs are one of the best things to happen to gaming since the turn of the century. And why wouldn't they be? Everyday gaming rigs that obliterate traditional gaming consoles in performance are mass-produced, and there's the existence of laptops that can be conveniently carried around for the gamer on the go. But PC gaming is not all roses and sunshine, since, well, one of the drawbacks of the platform is the massive size of game files, many of which must be downloaded, especially here in the age of digital distribution. Hey there everyone, Geoffrey here, welcome to Game Rant. In this video, I'll be highlighting 10 PC games with the biggest file sizes. Now, it's worth noting that file sizes can change at any time, depending on things like patches, game updates, new content, and the like. So, the size of the files that will be mentioned for the following games are accurate as of the writing of this piece. So, let's dive in. Number 10, Borderlands 3, 135 gigabytes. The Borderlands series is one that holds a special place in many gamers' hearts. Borderlands 3 was one of the most anticipated titles of 2019, and though there were some noticeable technical hiccups, fans were happy with the overall product. Though initially coming in at a 75GB installation size, various DLCs and the Season Pass content are added to the current total. The Moxie's Heist of the Handsome Jackpot, Guns, Love and Tentacles, Bounty of Blood, Psycho Creek, and the fantastic Fustercluck DLCs give players hours of worthy additional Borderlands content, making the increase in file size well worth it for hardcore fans. Number 9, Halo the Master Chief Collection, 136.63 gigabytes. Simply put, it's impossible to not talk about Halo the Master Chief Collection when discussing massive game file sizes. Xbox's greatest mascot now has all its best games wrapped up in a neat bundle for players to check out. Watching Master Chief tear through his opponents in the games present in this collection is a blast every single time, quite literally. However, the install size can be a problem for gamers who can't free up this space without making some serious adjustments. Number 8, Starfield, 140 gigabytes. Bethesda's latest action RPG has garnered a primarily positive reception, and if it is anything like the studio's other high-profile releases, Starfield will hopefully have an active and bright future ahead of it. Using procedurally generated technology, the sci-fi game features a huge selection of planets that players can visit and set up a base on. There are also a couple of unique cities that players will need to visit to complete the main story and acquire most of the secondary content. Starfield's ambition can be seen in its download size, which certainly reflects its scope. Visually, the game looks good, but is not necessarily an all-timer. Number 7, Final Fantasy XV, 148 gigabytes. The saviors of the land of Lucius in this title are not a ragtag band of misfits like in a lot of its contemporary RPGs, but the longtime friends of Prince Noctis, Gladiolus, Ignis, and Prompto. Like its predecessors, the role-playing and open world of Final Fantasy XV are more than enough to charm players. Along with this, the flashy melee combos of all 4 characters and the subtle details painstakingly carved into the game will keep players glued to their screens for hours on end. The base game on its own stands at 83 gigabytes in size, but the addition of a high-resolution pack brings it to a total of 148 gigabytes. Number 6, Red Dead Redemption 2, 150 gigabytes. Following its announcement a while back and the massive success of its predecessors, the months leading up to the release of Red Dead Redemption 2 were filled with enthusiastic anticipation. It was eventually released in 2018 for various platforms, and in November 2019 for Microsoft Windows. Though delayed for PC gamers, exploration of the game has been anything but boring. From engaging in shootouts with rival gangs to executing daring heists and enjoying scenic rides on horseback, Red Dead Redemption 2 offers everything the Wild West had to offer and so much more. Number 5, Forspoken, 150 gigabytes. Square Enix has infamously handled its Western IPs horribly, and Forspoken is probably the last game funded by this publisher following the developer's sale to Embracer Group. This attempt at making this open world title was marred with many issues stemming from its gameplay and writing, leading to a hot mess of a title that ended up underperforming across the board. The traversal system of this game may be a blast, but it simply doesn't do enough to justify players having to go through tedious story sequences and boring combat over and over again. Perhaps the biggest and most egregious mistake made by this game is the fact that it takes up a whopping 150 gigabytes of space, which is simply ridiculous and goes to show how poorly optimized this game is, with the requirements for this game not justifying the drab and uninteresting visuals. Number 4, Baldur's Gate 3, 150 gigabytes. Larian's Baldur's Gate 3 spent a few years in early access, and that time was well spent, as it produced one of the best tactical RPGs of all time. Set within the D&D universe, the game is overflowing with personality, depth, and nuance. Players are given a lot of freedom in crafting a storyline that fits their created character, and while the central storyline's main beats are fairly set in stone, the journey can change wildly depending on somebody's choices. Baldur's Gate 3's size reflects the sheer volume of content in the game rather than its graphical prowess. Number 3. Star Wars Jedi Survivor, 155 gigabytes. Another lazy PC port comes in the form of Star Wars Jedi Survivor, a game that was hyped to the moon and back only for expectations to come crashing down after the horrible performance of the PC port. The title needed a strong launch to bring more eyes toward the series after the first game ended up being a surprise hit, but Star Wars Jedi Survivor failed to convince players who owned a PC with its shoddy performance. The fact that the game somehow requires around 150 gigabytes of space feels like an insult, especially given its myriad of performance issues. However, there have been updates to the game, fortunately making it a better experience on PC overall. Number 2. Medal of Honor Above and Beyond, 180 gigabytes. The Medal of Honor series has remained dormant for quite some time, so it's easy to see why fans were happy to see it make a comeback, even if it came in the form of a VR exclusive title. However, the reception to this game was tepid at best, which didn't really sit well with most fans. It was a shame since Medal of Honor Above and Beyond had the opportunity to be something truly special, but ended up royally dropping the ball in every way. The fact that it almost takes 200 gigabytes on a player's drive adds insult to injury, although the graphics admittedly look decent in VR. Number 1. ARK Survival Evolved, 250 plus gigabytes. Given how minimalistic ARK can seem at times, this might come to be somewhat of a surprise for many, but gamers who own Survival Evolved know just how big the game can get and how tough it can be on a player's hard drive. The game has come a long way since its release, having gone through the kind of quality of life tweaks one would expect from a title of its size. There are also a variety of expansion DLCs that only add to the initial file size, making it much bigger than most players would initially think. And there we have it everyone, 10 PC games that feature hefty file sizes. Thank you so much for watching this video from Game Rant. Be sure to check out all sorts of other top-notch gaming content, including more lists, news, reviews, guides, originals, and so much more right here on Game Rant. Have a truly wonderful and happy day everyone. We'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.